She Comes First, The Thinking Man's Guide to Pleasuring a Woman by Ian Kerner, Ph.D. Remember Lorena Bobbitt? That wild story from the 90s that everyone couldn't stop talking about? When police asked her about what she'd done to her husband in a moment of extreme violence, her answer was surprisingly simple and heartbreaking. He always has an orgasm and doesn't wait for me. It's unfair. Now, obviously, that's an extreme case, the kind that makes headlines and gets turned into TV movies. But strip away the sensationalism, and you'll find something much more common lurking underneath. A quiet, everyday disappointment playing out in bedrooms everywhere. That feeling of being invisible, unheard, left wanting. It's that silent disconnect between two people who should be sharing the most intimate moments of their lives. Here's the thing, closing that gap doesn't require you to become some sort of tantric master or bedroom acrobat. The secret is actually simpler, more human, and way more achievable than you might think. Today we're diving into a book that tackles this issue head-on. It's called She Comes First, written by clinical sexologist Dr. Ian Kerner. Yes, the title is pretty direct, but the wisdom packed inside goes way deeper than just a technical manual. This book has sold over 1 million copies and been translated into dozens of languages, and there's a good reason for that. It's not really about sex at all. It's about a complete shift in how you think about intimacy. It's about generosity, knowledge, and truly paying attention to another person. Here's what makes Dr. Kerner's story so interesting. He didn't write this from some position of natural expertise. Actually, he starts the book with a brutally honest confession. For much of his life, he struggled deeply with his own sexual issues, feeling the shame and anxiety of not being able to satisfy his partners. His journey wasn't one of innate talent, but rather discovery born from desperation. And that journey led him to a powerful philosophy he calls the way of the tongue. By the end of today's episode, you'll understand a fundamental secret to creating deeper, more satisfying intimacy. It's knowledge that won't just transform your romantic relationships, but will reshape how you think about being a truly considerate and connected person. We're going to think outside the box, literally, and discover a whole new way of understanding pleasure, intimacy, and respect. So let's jump in. The big idea in She Comes First is simple but revolutionary. When it comes to heterosexual intimacy, we've been telling ourselves the wrong story for way too long. Our culture, our movies, even our private conversations have built this narrative where penis and vagina intercourse sits at the absolute center of the sexual universe. It's treated as the main event, the grand finale, the whole point of everything. Everything else is just foreplay, the warm-up act, before the headliner takes the stage. But Dr. Kerner argues this model is fundamentally broken, especially when it comes to female pleasure. He calls this disconnect the sex gap. Here's what the numbers tell us. Studies like the famous Kinsey reports show that about 75% of men typically reach orgasm within just a few minutes of starting intercourse. Women? They often need 15 minutes or more of sustained, focused stimulation to get to the same place. The math literally doesn't work. It's like expecting someone running a 100-meter dash and someone running a marathon to cross the finish line together. No wonder the result is so often frustration, disappointment, and for countless women, an orgasm that's treated as a lucky bonus rather than an essential part of the experience. This is where Dr. Kerner's personal story becomes really powerful. He openly admits he suffered from premature ejaculation, something that filled him with shame and anxiety. He felt like what he calls a sexual cripple. He jokes that he was sure his epitaph would read, "He came, he saw, and then he came again." Out of sheer desperation, he started focusing on other ways to pleasure his partners, specifically through oral sex. At first, he saw it as a workaround, compensation for what he thought was his main failure. But then something surprising happened. This workaround wasn't inferior to real sex at all. In many ways, it was actually better. He discovered that for most women, the consistent, rhythmic, precise stimulation that oral sex provides is the most reliable, and often the only, way they achieve orgasm with a partner. And this wasn't just his experience. Research backed it up. The famous Height report on female sexuality found that women overwhelmingly consider oral sex one of their, quote, most favorite and exciting activities. One study in the book showed women reached orgasm 81% of the time during oral sex, compared to only 25% during intercourse. This discovery completely changed how he thought about sex. He had to unlearn years of cultural programming, and the first lesson was about anatomy. The book asks us to make a crucial mental shift, start thinking clitorally, not vaginally. For centuries, our understanding of female sexuality has been clouded by bad information. The most damaging myth, pushed by Sigmund Freud, was this idea that there were two types of female orgasms, a mature vaginal one from intercourse and an immature clitoral one. Freud basically said the clitoris was something women should outgrow. Dr. Kerner points out this idea was based on exactly zero scientific evidence, and it's caused more unnecessary anxiety than almost any other psychological theory. The truth? All female orgasms are essentially clitoral orgasms. The vagina, especially its inner portions, has very few nerve endings. It's crucial for reproduction, sure, but it's not where pleasure is centered. The clitoris, on the other hand, is an absolute powerhouse. The book describes it not as the tiny button it's often called, but as this complex, extensive network. The visible part, the glans, is just the tip of the iceberg. It contains over 8,000 nerve endings, twice as many as the entire head of the penis, and its only purpose is pleasure. This network extends deep into the body, with 18 distinct parts, visible and hidden, all working together. Even the mysterious G-spot, Kerner suggests, is probably just the internal parts of the clitoris being stimulated through the vaginal wall. So if the clitoris is the key, why doesn't intercourse reliably stimulate it? Simple geography. The clitoris is located outside and above the vaginal opening. During most positions, especially missionary, the penis often completely misses it. This brings us to the book's main message. The tongue is mightier than the sword. Unlike the penis, the tongue is an instrument of incredible precision and flexibility. It can be soft or firm, fast or slow. It doesn't tire easily, and there's no time limit. It can be controlled with the finesse of a paintbrush, perfectly designed for the delicate landscape it's working with. The book even quotes adult film star Ron Jeremy saying, "More women have gotten off with my tongue than with my penis." This leads to a new philosophy Kerner calls outer course. It's a concept of sex that goes beyond just penetration, embracing a wider range of activities with oral sex at its core. It transforms foreplay into core play. The opening act becomes the main event. The guiding principle is simple. She comes first. This isn't just about what happens when, it's a complete mindset. A philosophy of generosity. It means holding back on male gratification until after the woman has her first orgasm. This creates a double benefit. It ensures her satisfaction, and it actually makes the man's eventual climax more intense. It's the difference between a frantic race to the finish and a relaxed, mutually enjoyable journey. To make this work, the book lays out a clear, structured approach inspired by Aristotle's principles of storytelling. Just like a good play, great sex has a beginning, middle, and end. Kerner calls this the play process, divided into 3 acts: foreplay, coreplay, and moreplay. Act 1 is foreplay. This is everything before the first genital contact. The book has a crucial rule here. Avoid direct genital touch for at least 10 to 15 minutes. Foreplay is about building anticipation and awakening the entire body. Your skin is your largest sexual organ, and for women, it's proportionally even more sensitive than men's. This stage is about whispered words, gentle touches, kissing, massage, creating an atmosphere charged with erotic energy. During this time, blood flow increases to the pelvic area and oxytocin gets released, heightening sensitivity throughout the body. Foreplay sets the stage, it warms up the engine. Rushing it is like trying to play beautiful music on an instrument that's out of tune. Act 2 is foreplay. This is the heart of everything. The dance between tongue and clitoris. This is where oral sex happens. But approach is everything. The book warns against common mistakes. Being too rough, too fast, or changing rhythm at the wrong moment. One woman interviewed said it felt like her partner was trying to erase my clitoris. Instead, foreplay is methodical and patient. It begins with the first kiss, a slow, tender lick from bottom to top, taking in the whole landscape before focusing on any specific spot. Next comes establishing rhythm, a steady, predictable pattern of long, slow licks, alternating with moments where the tongue rests flat and still, letting the sensations build. Kerner calls this the make and break moment, building tension through the interplay of movement and stillness. As tension builds, techniques become more focused. This is where tongue, fingers, and hands work together. The book describes them as a jazz trio. The tongue is the saxophone playing solos, the fingers are the piano providing rhythm, and the hands are the bass giving a steady foundation. Manual stimulation isn't about aggressive motion, but gentle exploration and strategic pressure on different sensitive areas. A key technique here is the gum press. This involves making a slight snarl to raise your upper lip and pressing your gum against the sensitive area just above the clitoral head. This provides steady resistance, a firm point she can move and create friction against, while the tongue continues its delicate work. Throughout this process, you need to be observant. The book details the visible signs: deeper breathing, tensing muscles, flushed skin, and most tellingly, her inner labia darkening as they fill with blood. The clitoral head itself will retract under its protective hood just before climax, a clear sign she's about 90 seconds away. As she approaches orgasm, the technique shifts again, not faster or rougher, but cooler, calmer, more precise. Kerner compares it to Jackson Pollock, creating what looks like wild, abstract strokes, but with pinpoint precision. The tongue strokes become lighter, more teasing, prolonging the sensation and building the final wave until it breaks. When orgasm arrives, a series of involuntary rhythmic muscle contractions, the job isn't over. The book emphasizes maintaining stimulation through the climax. A common mistake is stopping the moment it starts, which can make the orgasm fizzle out. Instead, you're a helper, using light touches to intensify the contractions and draw out every bit of pleasure. Act 3 is more play. The experience doesn't end when the climax does. After intensity comes balance. Men and women are biologically different here. After orgasm, men experience a refractory period, quickly losing their erection and often feeling sleepy. Women come down much more slowly. Their bodies remain in a heightened state, and they don't have a refractory period. With just a little more stimulation, they're often ready to go again. This difference creates what Kerner calls the snuggle gap. He wants to sleep, she wants to cuddle and connect. More play bridges that gap. It's the gentle aftercare, the hugging, kissing, soft words that solidify the emotional connection. It's about not just rolling over and grabbing a snack. It's the epilogue that gives everything meaning and lasting warmth. And here's where one of the book's most empowering ideas comes in: women's capacity for multiple orgasms. It's far easier for a woman to have a second or third orgasm than her first. Her body is already primed. The book makes clear that multiple orgasms aren't some rare superpower. Most women have this natural ability. They don't experience it more often simply because their partners finish too quickly and don't continue appropriate stimulation. This is also the ideal time to introduce intercourse if you want to. Once she's had her first orgasm, she's in a much more receptive state and more likely to have another during penetration. The book suggests positions like woman on top or the coital alignment technique, specifically designed to maximize clitoral contact during sex. Running through all of this are some non-negotiable principles. One is hygiene. The book addresses the anxieties both partners have about scent and taste. Kerner explains that a healthy vagina is self-cleaning, actually cleaner than the human mouth. He encourages couples to turn hygiene into a romantic shared ritual, like showering together. Another is communication. The best lovers are the best listeners. They create safe spaces for feedback, giving praise freely and offering suggestions constructively. And finally, respect. The book ends with a powerful, cunnilinguist manifesto, a declaration of principles, to be patient, sensitive, and tender, to approach each experience as unique, to give of yourself seriously, generously, and wholeheartedly. In the end, She Comes First isn't just about oral sex, it's a philosophy of connection. It's understanding that true pleasure isn't something you take, it's something you create together. It's about knowing that when you put someone else first, you often find the greatest satisfaction for yourself. The author's journey from struggling with dysfunction to mastery proves that being a great lover isn't about natural talent. It's about having the humility to learn, the patience to practice, and the generosity to give. When you really break down She Comes First, you realize it's not just teaching techniques, it's advocating for a profound shift in character. The core lesson isn't about physical moves, it's about the power of generosity, the importance of knowledge, and the art of selfless attention. These are principles that can transform every area of your life. Think about it. The book's central idea, postponing your own gratification for someone else's pleasure, is one of the most powerful principles for any successful relationship, whether romantic, friendship, or professional. In a world constantly telling us to focus on our needs, our goals, our success, this book offers something different. It suggests that true fulfillment, real connection, even a deeper sense of our own satisfaction, comes from first ensuring the well-being of others. It's the ultimate win-win. What I find most compelling is how Dr. Kerner frames knowledge not as a tool for conquest, but as an act of respect. Taking time to learn about the female body, to understand its unique responses, is presented as the highest form of caring. It's saying, I care enough about you to understand you. I respect you enough to learn your language. Too often we stumble through relationships operating on assumptions and stereotypes. This book reminds us that genuine connection requires curiosity and humble willingness to learn. It's about dropping ego and embracing empathy. So how can you start applying these deeper lessons right now? First, practice the philosophy of coming second in your daily conversations. Next time you're talking with someone, a friend, family member, anyone, make a conscious effort to focus entirely on their experience. Listen not to reply, but to understand. Ask questions. Be curious. Let them finish their story before you even think about yours. You'll be amazed how this simple shift deepens connection and trust. Second, embrace being a student. The book argues many men are clueless about female anatomy because they rely on poor information sources, like pornography or locker room talk. The solution? Education. Apply this everywhere. If you don't understand something, don't fake it. Find a reliable source, a book, mentor, expert, and learn. Approaching the world with genuine curiosity instead of a know-it-all attitude is the fastest path to wisdom. Third, master the art of process. The book's framework of foreplay, coreplay, and moreplay is a brilliant metaphor for approaching any important task. Don't rush to the main event. Take time to prepare properly, that's foreplay. Give the core task your full, undivided, skillful attention, that's coreplay. And don't forget the follow-through, the reflection, the aftercare that solidifies everything, that's moreplay. Whether you're working on a project, learning a new skill, or building a friendship, respecting the process always leads to better outcomes than just chasing results. That was our deep dive into She Comes First by Dr. Ian Kerner. We've explored the big ideas, the guiding philosophies that made this book a global phenomenon. But a summary is like looking at a map of a beautiful country. The real adventure, the real magic, happens when you decide to travel there yourself. It's in the small details, personal stories, and quiet moments of reflection that a book truly comes alive. This summary is your map, designed to help you decide if this is a journey worth taking. If anything we've discussed sparked something in you, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about gaining information. It's an experience that can fundamentally change how you connect with others. You can find a link in the description below. Also, if you found this valuable and want to continue building your library of wisdom, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss our next journey into another life-changing book. Let's keep learning and growing together.